Morning, guys. So this is day 2 of statistics and probability. Let's go ahead and take a look. So let's go over our vocabulary again. Remember, population is all the members of a group. That is the subject of a statistical question. So it's all the members of a group. And sample is just a portion of that group. Okay, so let's look at the first set of questions. So we have to use the information provided for us to answer these questions. So we have votes for popcorn, churros, and candy. So we have 34 for popcorn, 6 for churros, and 10 for candy. Let's go ahead and read the first question. It says, what percent of students surveyed selected churros or candy as their snack of choice? So way back when we did probability, you have to remember that the first thing that you have to do is figure out what is the total amount of votes. So go ahead and add all your votes up. So when you add it all together, you get a total of 50 total votes. So to find the percent, if we are looking for churros or candy, that means I'm going to take churros, which is 6, plus 10, which would be 16. That would be 16. And I am going to divide that by my total amount. So I would take 16 and divide it by 50 to get my percent. That'll give me 0.32. Remember, in order to make a decimal, a percent, you have to multiply by 100, and that'll give you a total of 32%. So 32% of students surveyed selected churros or candy as their snack. Let's go ahead and look at B. There are 400 students at the school who will be attending the movie night. Using the sample about how many students can be expected to order popcorn. Well, the sample survey only has 50 students surveyed, and we want to look at 400. So they're talking about expected to order popcorn. So we want to figure out what that would look like. So we know 34 out of 50 students voted for popcorn. So let's go ahead and make that into a decimal. So 34 divided by 50, and that's going to give me 0.68. So now that I have my decimal, since I know that they want to do it out of 400, you have to then multiply it by 400. So remember those steps. First thing you would do is turn your survey information into a decimal, and then you would multiply it by the amount necessary. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to multiply it by 400 so I can see how many students total would have ordered popcorn. And in total, it would end up being 272. So this little piece of information would have gone here to show you the steps. Make sure you're writing the steps down for each question. So let's look at C again. There are 400 students who plan to attend the movie. Using the sample about how many students can be expected not to order candy. So if we're looking at not to order candy, the ones that are not candy would be popcorn and churros. So I'm going to add 34 plus 6, and that'll give me 40. Now, just like my other problem, I want to turn 40 into a decimal. So remember, you're dividing it by 50. And that'll give you 0.8 or 0.80. And now because it's 400 students, you multiply it by 400. And it gives you 320 students. So make sure, take a second, pause the video that you have everything written down. And we're going to go ahead and look at the next slide. Okay, slide number 2. It says random samples of laundry were sorted at Super Suds Laundry to represent the 1,600 pieces of laundry washed in an average day. Use the table to answer the questions. So they did 2 samples. Let's look at the first statement. So at least 320 socks will be washed in an average day. So let's see. It says in the first sample, 8 socks. In the second sample, 11 socks. So I want to take it out of my sample first. So I have to do the math. I'm going to add up everything for sample 1. And that would give me a total of 40. And I'm going to do the same for sample 2. And that again gives me 40. So I'm going to do 8 out of 40. So 8 divided by 40 to get my decimal. And that gives me 0.2 or 0.20. If I did 11, it would give me 0.28. So remember, we got to multiply it by the number given. So if I do 0.2 times 320, let's see what it gives me. It gives me 64. And if I were to do it with my other sample, it would give me 89.6. So hold on. Let's back step. This was an accident. So I'm not multiplying it by 320. I'm multiplying it by 1,600. Because that is what they're taking the sample out of. I'm sorry. So you're going to take 0.2 times 1,600. And it gives you 320. So yes, it does reach that number, so it would be true. Let's look at the second question. Shorts account for 50% of the laundry washed in an average day. Well, I don't know. Let's do 16 out of 40. So 16 divided by 40 gives me 0.4, which when multiplied by 100 is only 40%. So account for 50%? No, it does not. Less than 500 shirts will be washed each day. Well, let's take a look. Shirts, we got between 12 and 8. So again, I'm going to turn my 12 into a decimal. Let's go with the higher number. And that gives us 0.3. And we're doing it out of 1,600. So times 1,600, it gives us 480. So less than 500 shirts will be washed each day. 480, yes, is less. We're not going to do this one right now. So again, make sure you're pausing and writing on your notes. Let's look at our next question. So it says Tim and Wesley each hit 10 golf balls at a driving range and recorded their distance in yards below. What is the difference between the mean distance? Remember, mean is your average. So to find your average, you have to add all the numbers together and then divide by how many there are. So go ahead and find the mean for both sets of numbers. Okay, so the mean for the first set is 174. And now for the second one. Remember, you should be working this out as we go because you will have to know how to do this on your own for your quiz and for your EOGs. And for the second set, it's 176. So we're looking for the difference. So the difference is subtraction. The difference would be 2 yards, which is B. Again, pause and make sure you're writing. Okay, you're going to find the mean, median, mode, and range for both of these sets. I'll do the first one, but you have to do the second one. So remember, you're putting them in order. So for my mode, I have 3 and 4 because both of those numbers show up 2 times. For my range, I'm taking 70 minus 1, which gives me a range of 69. Mean, remember you're adding them all up. So my mean is 13, and remember median, you're finding the middle number, which is 6. So go ahead and do the second set. Our mean would be 19. Our mode would be 5 and 7. Our range is 75. ingredient is 7. So go ahead, and if you have questions about your classwork, then I would stay on so that I can answer any questions that you have about it. If not, go ahead and start your classwork. Okay, so classwork. It says the table at the right represents a random sample of 7th graders who were surveyed about their weekend. Sort the statements below as true or false. So let's do one together. Remember, you are going to have to solve for some things. So A, a total of 40 students were surveyed. Well, I don't know. Let's add up all our numbers. If I add them up, it does give me 40. So A would go in here. B, remember, we're talking about the total they said is 200. We're looking at stayed at home. So you're going to turn 18 into a decimal by doing 18 divided by 40, which is 0.45, and the total is 200. So you multiply by 200, and it gives you 90. So yes, B would also be in here. Let's look at the next slide. Okay, so this one is similar to the one we did during the lesson. So number 1, if there are 200 members of the 7th grade class, how many can be expected to prefer soccer? So 7th grade class, soccer. Remember, you start out by adding all the numbers, which gives me 50. So I take 29 divided by 50, gives me 0.58, and total is 200. It gives me 116. So this would go here. If you have any more questions, make sure to ask.